Hey everyone, welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. It's great to be here as always. 2 videos in one day. Yes, exactly. We have some breaking news out of Eric Burlison's office, and I guess I'm going to start like this. I poo-pooed their abolish the ATF legislation that was introduced last week. I did a video on it. I'm like, hey, you know, without getting rid of the statutory framework that allows the ATF to interpret law in such a way as it can infringe on the Second Amendment rights of American citizens, without getting rid of that long list that I put up of regulations that have been passed for the last 100 years, getting rid of the ATF actually just sort of distributes the problem across multiple government agencies and makes it harder to figure out who's doing what. Well, step one on that list has been submitted. The Repeal the National Firearms Act bill has been submitted to the 119th Congress. And that's what we're going to talk about really quick after we have a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by the Modern Gun School. This is an accredited online university that can help you gain an educational background in firearms. Their program can be used to expand your horizons or to gain a degree in your spare time if that's what you're looking for. Look, I get it. There's been a whole lot of controversy lately about these online schools and online degrees and all that sort of stuff. And I understand the sentiment, and that's why I asked MGS directly about this. MGS's tuition is designed to meet the operating requirements of the school and thus is very competitively priced. It pretty much blows the competition completely out of the water, and you're not going to burn through your entire GI Bill or end up radically in debt because of this program. Among their stated goals is to put their students first by ensuring that after completing their program, a student still has financial options available to pursue other higher education opportunities that you might need if you're going to be successful out there. So go check them out at Modern Gun School and let them know that I sent you. Now, for those of you who are new here and you don't know what the National Firearms Act, my puppy just peed on the floor over there. We'll have to come back to that here in a second. The National Firearms Act is a draconian piece of legislation that was ill-conceived from its outset. It was passed in 1934. So you want to talk about things that you live under today that make absolutely no sense. There you go. And basically what this was designed to do was not to ban things. It was to preclude people who don't have awesome finances from owning certain types of weapons, basically. So it was a tax that was proposed on certain types of weapons. And the idea was that there were a bunch of gangsters running around with like Tommy guns and stuff like that, and specifically handguns. They really wanted to make it difficult for lower class people to obtain handguns, basically. Well, then they figured out that that was basically political suicide, so they actually stopped there, and that's where we end up getting the short barrel rifle provision, but I'll come back to that here in a second. Basically, it was a $200 tax, a crazy background check, submission of fingerprints, and a passport photo. And the FBI is going to dig into your past all the way up and through, if you know what I mean. So anyway, this was passed in 1934. It predates what we use today whenever you purchase a firearm, which is the National Instant Check System, where it basically submits to the FBI and they check you. It predates that by like 60 years. So when we're talking about something that is ridiculously outdated, not only in the technology but the cognitive side of things, it is definitely up there. And on top of the National Firearms Act is built basically all gun control. So basically, you had the 1934 National Firearms Act, and then on top of that, they've just amended and piled more and more bullcrap on top of it to infringe on your Second Amendment rights. And basically, the NFA and the Gun Control Act, which is the amendment to it, is what is used by the ATF on a regular basis to mess with you, right? Everything that they do to the gun industry or to individual citizens is basically built on GCA, Gun Control Act, and NFA. There you go. So basically, what is in the NFA? The NFA, or sometimes you hear this referred to as Class 3, even though that's really a misnomer, is suppressors or silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and machine guns. So the machine guns thing was also added on to in the 1986 bill, which it's called the Hughes Amendment, where they basically outright banned the new production of select fire weapons to civilians, basically. So that's why you can't buy a new manufacturer machine gun, basically. Anyway, so the short barrel rifle stuff, I want to add a real quick one here. The short barrel rifle was born out of the government wanting to ban handguns, and then they basically were like, oh, oops, well, if we do that, a lot of people will be mad at us, and we probably won't get reelected. So rifles with short barrels will basically do those ones, right? Well, it was initially 18 inches. And then the government goofed and imported a whole bunch of M1 carbines, basically, that have 16-inch barrels. And like, oops-a-daisy. So to make sure that they didn't violate their own rules, they basically retconned it. And that's where you get the 16 inches for the rifles. And that's where the disconnect between the shotguns and the rifles comes in. So if you know anything about guns, you know that the shotgun has to have a minimum length of 18-inch barrel, and the rifles have to have 16-inch barrels. So that's where the difference comes in there, which is kind of a funny factoid there. But anyway, as I mentioned in the intro, I poo-pooed the bill that is abolish the ATF, because without getting rid of things like the NFA, you basically just redistribute the crap somewhere else, and you don't actually know who's going to be doing it. You got a pretty good idea, but basically it'll be spread throughout the Department of Justice. Hey, stop chewing on stuff. Sorry about that. It's his dinner time, and he's getting hacked off that I'm 15 minutes past his dinner time and I haven't fed him yet. He's destroying my office, so I'm gonna have to go here pretty soon. I'm trying to get this out because this came out literally 15 minutes ago, and I'm trying my best to get you guys. But because this is so hot off the press, I don't actually have the text of the bill. However, Representative Burlison has submitted this bill before, and we have a look at that bill from the 118th Congress, and if there is any substantive change from that, then I will do a follow-up video and tell you what that looks like. So this is what the bill looked like in the 118th Congress. Short title: this act may be cited as the Repeal the National Firearms Act. Chapter 53 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. Remember that thing that we said about it being amended in 1986? Yeah, that. The item related to such chapter in the table of chapters for subtitle E are hereby repealed. That's it. Very simple bill. I like simple bills. I think that all bills should be simple. I think that they should get basically a 10-page limit on every bill. That would solve a lot of problems. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. Now, as I mentioned, this is kind of like the thing that the House of Cards is built on. Now, the last time that this was submitted, there was no chance whatsoever that it was going to be passed, right? Because of the makeup of Congress. Now, the makeup has shifted considerably. So I know that a lot of people are going to say that there's no chance that this has of passing. Yeah, unless you make a crap load of noise and hold your electors accountable. Because right now, everybody's really sensitive about their public image and what they're standing in the way of and what they're not. So you have to go out there and bang the drum and make a whole lot of noise, because there is potentially enough votes to make this happen. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I have to go before he destroys the rest of my office. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you guys probably tomorrow.